So we're going to have enzymes secreted into the duodenum and hormones secreted into the bloodstream. We'll focus on the former first, but let's actually review each of those things. So if we zoom into this little chunk right here, we're going to see pancreatic acinar cells. This is the bulk of the cells in the pancreas. So most prevalent are these acinar cells. In the pancreas tissue, they're most of what you're seeing. What do? They are producing enzymes. So pancreatic enzymes. What enzymes? A bunch. We've got, so these are all called pancreatic whatever. So pancreatic lipase, pancreatic nucleases. Not gonna write that one down because we're not going to be looking at it. I could write it down, I don't know. Pancreatic amylase, breaking down carbohydrates, and pancreatic proteases. A couple different types of proteases which break down proteins. What type of glands are these? This is exocrine, right? Exocrine gland producing these enzymes that are being secreted into the pancreatic duct and then into the digestive system, which is outside of the body. What is the other cell type in the pancreas? It's shown in that same picture there. I just like this picture better because it shows a little bit more detail of the pancreatic islet. Here is an islet. Here is an islet, little island in the pancreas where there are endocrine cells. So contains endocrine cells. You saw this early in the semester and you will see it again. You saw it again recently. So these cells are going to be connected to the bloodstream because that's what endocrine cells are. That's what they do. We've got alpha cells and beta cells, two different types of cells in this pancreatic islet that produce two different hormones. What do they produce? Alpha cells produce glucagon. That's going to break down glycogen into glucose to ultimately raise blood sugar when we need to. Beta cells produce insulin. Insulin will be produced when glucose is ingested to cause glucose to be stored as glycogen. That's actually largely in the liver that it's stored. This lowers blood sugar. We'll look again at those two. The other thing, so I want to go back to the focus is going to be these enzymes. Are they just secreted like enzymes alone? No. So they're in a solution. This is going to be in pancreatic juices. The other thing I want you to know that's in this pancreatic juice is bicarbonate. This is going to help to buffer that acidic chyme coming from the stomach. So it's a buffer. That's it. It's bicarbonate, what that one was. Okay. The last thing I want to do within this video focused on the pancreas is talk about the proteases a little bit more because they are secreted. You already know, like pepsinogen is initially a precursor enzyme, has to be activated. So what do you think is going to activate these proteases from the pancreas? It's going to be acid. Here is our stomach, our pancreas, and our small intestine, of course. The duodenum. Here's the hepatopancreatic sphincter. And then some enzymes are going to be released from the pancreas. Proteases. 3 proteases to talk about. Trypsinogen. Remember that ogin we've seen before, chymotrypsinogen, and procarboxypeptidase. These are all going to break peptides, polypeptides, into shorter peptides and ultimately amino acids. So those are red because they're not activated yet. There's going to be peptidase in the lining of the duodenum. So this is membrane bound. I will add that just so that kind of make it make sense. Peptidase that's going to activate trypsinogen. Trypsinogen becomes trypsin. Trypsin is going to activate chymotrypsin to form chymotrypsin. Not sure I said that right. Trypsin is going to act chymotrypsinogen to form chymotrypsin. Trypsin also activates procarboxypeptidase to form carboxypeptidase without the pro, right? Do you remember the hormones in the duodenum that are activated by chyme coming in? So secretin and CCK. There's more than that. One of them that actually was shown in this picture that I know I showed you at least once is gastric inhibitory peptide, GIP. The main role of this hormone is, what do you think? To inhibit, and you can see it here, to inhibit gastric secretions, just like CCK and secretin do. And that name makes sense. So this is triggered by the presence of carbohydrates, primarily also lipids, in the duodenum. The other thing that GIP does, though, is it's actually going to trigger insulin release from the pancreas. And that really makes sense. Carbohydrate presence in the duodenum triggers insulin, which is going to allow our bodies to store glucose. So it's telling our endocrine system, hey, prepare for increased glucose. Your pancreas is going to detect that directly as well, but that's going to happen later, right? Glucose hasn't increased in the blood yet. That doesn't happen until after absorption. So this is a way to get the pancreas secreting insulin earlier than it would otherwise. This is also going to stimulate the pancreas, but this takes longer, right? This is mostly in the jejunum and ileum that absorption occurs. So this is going to facilitate, right, insulin, the conversion of glucose into glycogen, increased utilization of ATP as that food hits the duodenum.